don't focus on what's important to you. If you get it right for them, you'll get the deal and you'll make it happen. Understand what they want from it, present it in the terms that they want to see here. And so even when we had failure in our lives, that was not a destination. We weren't going to stay there. That was just shit that happened along the way. And it was like, next. Work starts with movement. When you move, the only system in your body that doesn't have a pump is the lymph system, and yet it's the heart of all your health kind of thing. So movement is important. And mental health is the first thing to be hit, which we don't see. So if you're healthy and you suddenly stopped and did nothing tomorrow and laid on a beach, which might sound attractive for a couple of weeks, but what had happened is after a while, your energy goes down. Then you start to feel no purpose. And you might still look good, but your mental energy starts to. And so we are meant to move, we are meant to work, we are meant to have purpose.
You know, mentors for me growing up, Mum was a great mentor. And then I just did everything myself, and I was pretty successful, and then I lost it all. And then I found mentorship, and I found hanging out with other people. How important has mentorship for you been in your career? Welcome to the Dealmaker podcast, and today I have got a very special guest, someone from the Secret Millionaire, Mr. Mike Greene, mentor, entrepreneur, business owner, hugely successful, big name in the business industry, is here today to share his journey and how you can get massive success in business, in life, in property, so you can do what you want, when you want, with who you want. Mike, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
With that intro, I almost want to listen to myself. Thank you.
So this is called the Dealmaker podcast.
Yep.
To kick us off, what does being a deal maker mean to you?
I've never been asked that question before, but when I think of the word, deal, who doesn't love a deal,
Yeah.
So it's about what do you want to do? What do you want to do with it? What does it mean? Where does it need to go? But it's about the maker bit, making it happen. Do you know less than 1% of people trying to raise money when they go to pitch to an investment fund, less than 1% get that cash. Why? Because their pitch is shit. They don't get it right.
Yeah.
They'll often want to tell them war and peace and they promise this, we're going to be the next Facebook and that. So it's about the maker bit, is making it happen. If you want to do a deal, if you want to build a business, then focus on the end in mind. Where's that going to go? Why should this person invest in me? And why is it attractive for someone to work with me to make a deal happen? Fantastic. So walk a mile in your enemy's shoes. They're not your enemy, but understand what they want from it, present it in the terms that they want to see here, and don't focus on what's important to you. If you get it right for them, you'll get the deal and you'll make it happen.
Well, I absolutely love that. That is a great explanation for sure. I love that part. Make it happen no matter what.
Yeah.
And put yourself in the firing line. So when did you know, many years ago, that you wanted to become a deal maker, entrepreneur, business owner? Can you remember a time when you knew that was the case?
Do you know what? It inspires me about people, but it also makes me sad to some degree that I think when we're young, and I mean really young, I can remember at 6 or 7, we were poor, we lived in a caravan, and then we moved into a council. I was really excited. I was sharing a bed with 2 brothers, not a bedroom, a bed with 2 brothers. And even then I thought, I'm going to be a millionaire one day, Mum, a bit like Rodney. I'm going to look after you. And I think most young people have this belief in themselves. They think, I'm not going to be poor like this, or I want to do well. I want to be like that Richard Branson guy, that David Beckham. And we all have this belief that we can be, we should be something, and those dreams are there. Bit by bit, life happens. Teachers tell us we're shit, or our parents tell us we're stupid sometimes. Or they don't mean it badly, but these things steal our dreams away and kill it. Now, luckily, my mum, she was a fierce woman. I'd give everything I got to spend another half day with her, because sadly she's not here anymore. But she always used to say, no one's better than you. No one is better than you. Yeah. But you also know better than anyone else. So she kept us level, but give us that belief. You can achieve anything you want to do if you put your work in, kind of thing. So she gave me that belief. So even though there's stuff going on, I had a violent stepdad and that, and teachers, I went to rubbish schools, sadly, and I think all people should get a good education. But even though that was tough, my mum always made me believe I could be something. And so from a really young age, I was willing to put the work in, because I inherently knew that you needed to work at it. But I always believed from the youngest age, Mum, and she on my episode of Secret Millionaire, she said, you know, even as a little kid, he'd say, I'm going to be a millionaire, Mum, I'm going to look after you and that. And I thought it from a really young age. I knew it. I didn't just think it, I knew it. And so even when we had failure in our lives, Jules and I, that was not a destination. We weren't going to stay there. That was just shit that happened along the way. And it's like, next. And in fact, my mum, it's probably not ideal parenting, but if we went home crying, what happened? So-and-so beat me up. Did you hit him back? No. Slap, you should hit him back. Kind of, you know, you fight back. You know, don't take it. You fight back. And so, you know, dust yourself down. Get up. Fucking do what it takes. And in that sense, you might think, oh, that's what you should cuddle them. No. Fucking cuddling makes them a lazy ass on the couch.
Love that.
You know, but so when it went wrong, and a few times it's gone wrong. And I mean, when we went homeless and bankrupt in my 20s, it was really wrong. But even then, there was a little period of feeling sorry for myself. You know, but then I could hear her voice: "Get yourself up, dust yourself down, fucking get it done." And the belief that I'm meant to be something.
Yeah. It sounds like she was a huge role model to you.
Oh, she was.
And she actually installed some great belief systems in you at such a young age. I can identify with a lot there. We lived on a rough council estate. My mum was single. It was hard for her to put food on the table. And I just knew at the age of 8, I remember sitting in a women's refuge with my mum and my little brother, and we were eating out of a cold tin of spaghetti bolognese.
Fantastic.
And I was just like, this is not what our life is going to be. I am going to become rich. And I was obsessed with fast cars and opulent items and men in big suits. And there was just always this belief that I was going to do it. So going through school, did you have any sort of business venture? What was your first business venture?
Yeah, so
how did that look like? And was it a success? Was it a failure? What happened, Mike?
Firstly, I've got to come back on the spaghetti thing because tomorrow I'm going to Kanishka, which is a great Michelin restaurant in London with my daughters and their boyfriends or whatever. But so I love fine dining, but also I still love a cold tin of beans.
Yeah, there we go.
Out of the can. Kind of thing. You got to go in there. What it was is when I was 7, I did a paper round, and my brother, because you're not really supposed to legally do it that young. No. But he realised he could get me to do a paper round for him, and he could take half the money. I was kind of glutton. I'll do it for the bit of money. But it started that work thing. We were getting up super early, and then we got chatting to the milkman one day who was out super early, and we did a milk round as well. Then we do car washing, we do potato picking. So, and this love of money. You know, people think material is bad, but what you realise is money is great and it can do great things. If the love of money is your ruler, then it's a bad thing. But if you look at what money can do, the pain it can take away, the communities it can help, it's an incredible thing. But there's winning money. It's nice, you can have some toys, but it's different when you earn it. And I really think we need to force young kids to do jobs wherever they want to. You're not going on the dole, you're going to do this work. If you don't want to do it, get a different job. But even if they do that, when they've earned that money, it changes your feeling. If you can earn more money, you think, oh, actually, so if I do this job, pays better than that job. If I work harder, I make more money. If I do something when no one else wants to do it, like on a Sunday or a bank holiday, they pay me a bit more money. And I realised that with that money, I could give myself some things. Instead of having clothes always from the jumble sale or car boot, as they'd call them now, I could buy a new pair of trainers or something like that, you know. And you realise that it could solve some of the problems. Yeah. And it becomes like an addiction, but it's a positive addiction.
Yeah. Well, I feel good when I put on a nice pair of trainers. I feel good when I wear a nice jacket. I feel good when I know where I'd rather holiday, and it's not Chelmsford. I want to be on a 5-star, all-inclusive holiday, flying business class, all the options to fly first, with the family and loving life.
No,
you know?
absolutely.
And I think everyone can deserve that. You talk about work ethic. How important is work ethic to becoming successful and, you know, getting that first £1 million?
So work starts with movement. I mean, firstly, we've got lazy. We don't really move much. Yeah. You know, it's the most people do is walk to their car and everything. But when you move, the only system in your body that doesn't have a pump is the lymph system, and yet it's the heart of all your health kind of thing. So movement is important. The work piece of it is an extension of that, in the sense that I retired in 2012 at the age of 46, having sold a global business, and I never needed to work again. And you know, I knew I'd be set up, the kids would be set up, and stuff like that. I lasted about 9 months because we are not meant to sit on our asses and watch Jeremy Kyle and wait to die. It is not good for us. And mental health is the first thing to be hit, which we don't see. So if you're healthy and you suddenly stopped and did nothing tomorrow and laid on a beach, which might sound attractive for a couple of weeks, but what would happen is after a while, your energy goes down. Then you start to feel no purpose, and you might still look good, but your mental energy starts to think, fucking
so
bored,
true.
I've got nothing. And so we are meant to move, we are meant to work, we are meant to have purpose, I believe. And having had a period of retirement at 46, which was a goal, and I thought it was nice, and it was great, that kind of warm achievement, after the 6 months or so that I lasted, I now know I will work till the day I die, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, I got home about 1 o'clock last night. Up in Peterborough. I should have stayed in Stansted actually because I flew in there having flown back from Ireland. So up again at 6 this morning to get down here. And my driver has worked hard the last few days, so I fucking drove myself. And I love it.
Yeah,
you know,
great.
Was I tired this morning? Yeah, but once I'm in the car,
What is it about business and what you do now that you enjoy the most?
It is achieving a goal.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people don't get that sense of achievement because the vast majority aren't setting goals. They're just doing. They're kind of living. They're existing.
Not focused.
Even if your goal is today, I'm going to get one sale. Today I'm going to go down the gym for 45 minutes. Today I'm going to touch base with someone I haven't spoke to a while. It doesn't have to be a business goal, but setting goals, achieving goals, that sense of, I did what I thought I was going to do today, what I wanted to do today. And once you get into that habit of setting a goal, achieving a goal, feeling the recognition, self or other recognition of achieving that goal, you want to do it more and more.
Yeah, quick wins, I call them. Quick wins, you know, make sure you're getting quick wins all the time and doing stuff that you feel good and you can say, hey, I'm a good person, I feel proud of myself, and then hopefully motivates. But
similarly, I call that micro goals in the sense that people, you know, I'm often working with people who say, I want to get 20 million quid net worth in the next 3 years. Can we do it? Yeah, let's put a plan. We work on one-page mapping. But equally, I say, but that'll come from loads of little tiny goals. And if you don't think little things make a difference, try spending the night in a room with a mosquito. Little things make a huge fucking difference. But equally, have you heard the saying about how do you eat an elephant?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Go for it.
I mean, it's a silly saying, but it's one bite at a time.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But let me break that down for you because people think, well, it sounds fucking stupid, Mike. What's that mean?
Yeah.
If I said to you, Liam, could you eat an elephant? There's a fucking big 2-ton elephant there. You'd think, well, no, of course, it's massive. I say, if you had to eat an elephant, because two things? Positive motivation, I'll give you £1 million. Negative motivation, I'm going to take your firstborn. You'd fucking hell. Your brain would shift and start thinking, well, how could I possibly eat an elephant? And then you don't have to say we got to do it now. I didn't say we got to do it now. He goes, well, it'll probably take me a year. All right. Could you do it in a year? Well, hang on a minute. 20 mouthfuls per meal, 3 meals per day. That's 60 mouthfuls, 20,000 mouthfuls. I could do it in a year.
Yeah.
It'd be a bit boring because you're only eating an elephant. But if the motivation's big enough, if the motivation is big enough, the £1 million or saving my daughter or whatever it is, then I will fucking eat it. So even big hairy ass goals like millions or whatever it is we want to go for, break them down into those little bites. What do I need to do today? Can I pick up the phone to this person? Can I read a book? Can I ask someone for help? We've also got to the position where we don't say, can you help me with this? I'll help you with something. But you know,
and that brings us nicely on to mentors. You know, people just try and do everything themselves. And, you know, mentors for me growing up, I had my mum. My mum was a great mentor. I looked up to my dad. I didn't spend a lot of time with my dad, but he was still a type of mentor. And then I just did everything myself. And I was pretty successful, and then I lost it all. And then I found mentorship, and I found hanging out with other people. How important has mentorship for you been in your career? And is it something that you do you still have mentors today? I know you mentor people as well. Let's talk about the power of mentorship, because it's something which most people don't do, and that's why they maybe stay like the 95% of the population bloody broke. Let's talk about that.
So I used to have on my wall when we were broke. I used to have, I filled a whole wall with pictures of boats and planes, and people might have thought it was a bit material. Well, you know, when you have nothing, that was something that inspired me. But in the middle of it was a picture with a quote that said, "I saw further by standing on the shoulders of giants."
Wow.
And to me, a mentor may not be a giant, but there's someone who knows something you don't know that you need to know. You know, and we overcomplicate it. We think a mentor has got to be a classroom genius, let's say, or a business genius. Well, actually, my mum was a great mentor. The guy who ran the newsagent I used to work for was a great mentor. Some teachers can be great mentors. It's someone who is going to see in you a potential, tell you that they can see that in you, and help you know how to get from where you are to there. So, firstly, if it is to a future position, a better position, achieving something that they can see in you that you may not yet see in yourself, what that suggests is, firstly, we are today where we are based on the knowledge we have today, the actions we take today, and the behaviors we have. So to achieve something different, we need to do something different. We need to learn something more. So we've got to look at someone and say, who can do that? My mum, if it came to showing love, if it came to tough love, if it came to making a great Irish stew, she's the mentor to go for. But she couldn't read, couldn't write, was only ever a cleaner and a seamstress. How the fuck was she going to teach me to make millions? Now, that's no disrespect to her. She's the most important woman in the world to me, and has been. But I needed to go to someone who'd run a business. You wouldn't go to a dentist and ask them to perform heart surgery or vice versa.
So
They're both doctors. But you need to find the niche of speciality of skill set that's going to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. And so, to me, there are great people out there. Do you know, you don't even need to pay them. And I say that as someone who's a commercially fierce mentor. But YouTube, fuck me, the amount of free content on there. Audible, my God. So listen, learn. But there is no replacement for someone who can look you in the eye and say, I believe in you. I can see you amazing, on those fucking beaches. In fact, I can see you owning the hotel, you know. And it's like, people might say that's bullshit or that, but you feel it. It's kind of physical when someone says, I believe in you.
It's so true. The last 10 years for me have been probably the best of my life in terms of success and growing something really sustainable that I really believe in. And the one of the biggest differences in the last 10 years, I've had lots of great mentors, social media mentors, property mentors, business mentors, multi-millionaire, that have helped me. And I just go and find the best people in the marketplace, pay them a ton of money, or not even that much sometimes, and then copy what they do, and then get that help and support. So I think it's really, really important. And you run a trades mastermind as well, don't you? Do you want to talk a bit about that?
I chair the trade group, but this is all on Joe and Chris. They're amazing. You know, Joe's had his challenges and bounce back big style. The guy's got massive belief. He gets mentors. They pay, a 6-figure sum for Grant Cardone training every year. They pay me a chunk of money for mentoring every week, and so on. But they act on it, and they make it happen. And I love being part of that, because the trade group specifically, what I really like, and I've mentored and still do some corporates where I'm working with someone who's Coca-Cola or BP or Unilever or Procter & Gamble or Red Bull, all these brands that I worked with in the past. I actually much prefer SMEs. Taking someone who works really hard, has a belief, but don't know how to get there. The corporates, they kind of do it. And actually, they do waste a lot of your time when you're mentoring, because we're too busy, we've got a meeting. So go for the small and medium. In the trade group, what is lovely is these are people who have got a trade, plumber, electrician, bricklayer, carpenter, whatever, but when they did their apprenticeship, it didn't teach them how to build a business. And so the bit that they're missing is, how do I build winning teams? How do I attract, train, motivate, and retain great people? How do I manage the finance? What the fuck is cash flow? What does that mean? How far do I need to look out? Where do I get the money from? How do I get the money? And what's this about building a brand? It's mixed plumbers. But how can you make that more of a brand? Make it a known brand. Like Mick George might have been a skip hire guy, sold for over 100 million quid. Make your business mean something to people. Build the brand. But people don't understand marketing, social media, and all the bits that you talked about. What amazes me is there are lots of incredible companies that are the best at what they do that make no money. There are lots of average companies that understand marketing, understand connection, get out there, do it, build a brand. And a lot of businesses that are quite average in terms of their delivery, but exceptional in terms of their marketing, change the world. I mean, Coca-Cola essentially is fucking sugar and water, but with a bit of branding, it becomes a multi-trillion pound business, So people get distracted on trying to be perfect. I love the bit when I spoke to Charlie Mullins, ex-Pimlico Plumbers, and he said, Mike, if I got 70% right in a week, I made money. If I got 70% wrong in a week, I lost money. So as long as I was more right than wrong, I made money. But I never needed to be perfect.
Love that. Yeah.
Never needed.
Yeah.
And people are caught up in the paralysis of analysis. And I'll get going when I got it all right. My website's not quite right. Or I just want to perfect this. No, set off and course correct. Get out there.
Just
fucking
get
do
out
it.
there.
Take
Do
action.
it, build the relationship.
You're still going to cock up, but just fix it as you go along.
I like what you said earlier, just before we went on stage, about actually you want to be going into the storm. People worry about failure, they worry about challenges, and business success. If there's anyone listening to this now that are just starting off, be prepared for a storm. Like, go for that. Do you want to just share that with us a bit?
And in that sense, the storm is your friend, it's not your enemy. And this came out, one of my mentors made me climb mountains, run marathons, do clip around the world yacht race and so on. And the clip around that, I said to him, what next to it? And he said, what still scares you, Mike? And I said, well, nothing really. He says, no, something must scare you. I said, well, actually, I don't like getting too much out of my depth in water. He said, great, I want you to cross an ocean. I said, fucking hell, that's a bit of a leap, isn't it? To cross an ocean. And so we get signed up, clip around the world yacht race, first day interview, and the guy beside me says, what's the training? They say, first day in the classroom, second day in the pool for sea survival, third day we're going to aim for the biggest storm we can find at night. It's like, we're all uncomfortable. He laughs awkwardly. And the guy looks him in the eye and says, we cannot prepare you on calm waters. We're going to aim for the storm because we need to teach you the power of the storm. And actually, when you then learn about sailing, if you're on calm waters where the sun's shining, it's all lovely, but there's no wind. Without wind, you're not moving anywhere. Yeah. But if you can get the storm, if you can hit it right, skirt around that storm, use its energy to catapult you forward, you win that race. Everyone avoids the storms. The reason I called my book Failure Breeds Success and thought it was so important to get that right is that we avoid failure, we avoid storms, we avoid embarrassment. Actually, if you speak to people who have become multimillionaires and billionaires, you'll realize they didn't like the failure, but they started to realize, I'm going to push for it, I'm going to push for it, I'm going to push for it, I'm going to learn from it, I'm going to get better, I'm not going to get bitter. And they keep moving on. Failure is not the opposite of success, it is one of the key ingredients to success.
Great, I love that. And be determined, don't give up. Get up fast and just get on to the next thing, right? Learn from things that have happened for you.
Especially if you're doing something that you love.
Yeah.
Would you, this is a good question, if you had decent money, would you be willing to go to do a job for 8, 10, 12 hours a day that you hated every day for 50 years just because it paid good money?
Yeah.
If you made enough to survive, and never made much monetary success, but lived every day doing something you loved, so I would rather fail or not massively succeed doing something I love every day than succeed doing something I hated.
I love that.
If you can find your passion, find your purpose, follow your passion, follow your purpose, and then never give up, then actually you end up succeeding at something you love. And that's the real mecca, that's the real goal. And it's achievable for everyone. I truly believe it. People can achieve anything they want to put their mind to if they get the right knowledge, the right mentors, and keep focused until they get there.
Let's go back to the Secret Millionaire.
Yeah.
So what made you do that? And what were some of your learnings and lessons, going back to where you grew up, going back into that environment? So let's explore that, because like you say, you've got this real bullish attitude of like, you can do whatever you want. Talk us through that experience and how that was and what you learned and what you can share from it.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about my past, and a great mate of mine in Ely in Cambridgeshire, he'd been asked to do it. And he's a very charitable person, great businessman, everything else. And he's chatting to his dad a month or two, or a couple of months before it was due to be filmed, the next episode. And his dad said to him, listen, son, I know you want to do this and you want to do it because of the charitable side and everything else. But have you thought about, because they had retail shops, if Mrs. Miggins sees that you've got all this money and all the trappings, and she's going to then think he's charging me too much for my milk, and you've got to face them every day, these customers. So he had a bit of a wobble, and he said, I can't do it. But my mate Mike, he does a lot for charity. Even when we had nothing, Jules and I have always given 10% of everything we earn every year to charity. It's a kind of superstitious belief that if I don't feed the funnel, I won't keep getting benefit from it. So always give 10% back. So I was in Australia at the time, and I weren't watching much telly. I was building a business. I'd never even heard of Secret Millionaire. JJ sends me this message and and says, Mike, I've told Shine TV, it was at the time, to give you a call. You don't know if you're interested. Anyway, they ring. I say, I asked, okay, let me have a look at an episode. So I went on Catch Up Telly on Channel 4. I thought it was quite good. It's quite interesting. I was already a behavioural profiler, and I thought it'd be interesting on a couple of fronts. One, to go back to poverty, because we already had an international business, we're making great money. I wanted to go back to poverty to see how I felt about it now from a different position. And secondly, as a behavioural profiler, I was interested to see how I'd cope at that level. So anyway, I agreed to it, but I said, on one condition, it has to be within an hour of where I live, because I don't want to support any charities that I can't stay in touch with and see, feel and touch what they do with the money and so on. So I was the only person ever allowed to do it in their hometown. So I was in Peterborough, right. Partly because I hadn't been there for 20 years, because even though I lived just outside, I was in America, Australia, New Zealand, all over the world, and no one had recognised me anyway. So I agreed to do it. I was interested in that psychology, and what they do is they take your phone, you have no contact with anyone for 14 days, and they give you, during that 2-week period, equivalent dole money. I think it was 68 quid at the time. Wow. You got to live off it. They ring up estate agents and they say, you got any shithole properties that haven't been cleaned and everything else? So put me in this house that, I'm not kidding, there's pubes in the bath, and there's fucking mouldy beans in the sink, and it's like, and when I tried to have the first bath, it leaked like fuck, the kitchen ceiling came down. It was like horrible. I'd experienced not nice places, but this was awful. But it really, with a thump, brought me down to earth to what people that have got no money, that are living on that, how they have to live. And the first morning, I got up, I thought, go for a run, because the team said they'll come pick me up at 9 o'clock. And I see this little Greek coffee shop in the middle of town. I thought, I'll stop, I'll get a coffee, I'll get a Times newspaper, have a quick look. And I realised, fuck, I've spent my whole day's food allowance. And I've only had a coffee and bought a newspaper.
Big wake-up call, right?
And so it did reconnect me to, there are some great causes out there are people really living by the breadline. I'd still say the same thing if I was mentoring them. Learn some new skills, do some different stuff, put some work in. Because I'm prejudiced against any lazy ass bastard who can work and won't work. I've never met a person who isn't willing to support the people who can't support themselves, whether they're elderly, infirm, just got problems. But we have too many able, lazy non-workers in this country. And it's not just because they need to pay their way, it's because they can be more happy, be more self-fulfilled. They can change their lives and feel better about themselves. So I reconnected with all that. It was a great experience, but so much so that the minute I finished filming, I decided there and then I'm going to sell all my businesses, which we did a few months later.
That made that decision. Wow.
Yeah, because my girls were growing up, and when I was at home, I was a full-time dad. I was on it. I didn't go to football or down a pub. I did enough corporate stuff, but I wasn't home enough.
Yeah, okay.
And I was missing my wife.
How old were your girls at that time when you went into Secret Millionaire?
What would they have been to? They'd have been probably 10 and 7, something like that.
And you realised, I want to spend more time with the girls now.
I mean, look, I always, even from that, what I did at that age was I'd ring them every night. When they were little, we did the bath bottle bed kind of thing, both involved in that. As they got a bit bigger, reading to them every night. So even if I was in Australia or America, I'd try and time it so I could have a quick call, do some of that. And then as they get older, when they're at school and we give them their first phones at 11, from that age, every day I sent them a positive motivational picture quote.
Love that, wow.
Now, what was interesting about that was, and they know now I was brainwashing them, but that's a good kind of washing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And every day I'd send them a quote. And sometimes it might have been slightly sarky because they were bitching about something, and they'd come back and say, or they'd get angry. Or they'd send me a quote that was taking the piss out of me, sort of saying, practice what you preach. Or so. But it was this banter around principles. And then if I missed a day for some reason, they'd send me a positive quote.
How nice.
And I realised I was programming them. But to do that, every morning I get up, not a good picture, but I might be sitting in the bar flicking through Instagram for motivational quotes or so. To send them one that was appropriate each, I probably went through 50. So instead of doing what most people do, get up, what's in the fucking news, all miserable stuff, ain't gonna help you, is it? If the world's had a nuclear bomb, someone will tell me, I don't need to look for it. So instead of doing that first thing, I would be looking through positive quotes. So in finding 2 to send to them, I've looked at 50. Wow. Great quotes from great people that starts my mind off with the right mindset every morning.
Yeah.
and then boom, we hit the day.
Great.
And now they have that positive, can-do attitude. So, I'm sure you've done it because you've done a lot of training yourself and development yourself. If someone says to you, we've got a bit of a problem, the heckle's got my back and neck. I think we've got a challenge. We've got an opportunity because we become like, don't give me your problems. Don't spew it. You might see it as a problem, but let's treat it as a challenge. Let's treat it as an opportunity. And when you program yourself positively on a regular basis, your brain, it's almost like becomes a magnetic opposite to negativity. It bounces it away.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm quite excited about a business that we're doing at the minute called Your Own Unique Radio, YOUR, where we can, for a couple of grand, set up everyone their own personal radio. So at the moment, I've got Life Success Radio. You could say, Alexa, launch Life Success Radio. It comes on. But it's positive, uplifting music. But in between that, there's quotes.
Excellent.
And then we're going to put the podcasts on it and other people's podcasts on it and stuff
great.
like that. But we can launch a radio. It can be your local town.
Yeah.
It can be a radio for them, the parish events, some advertising of local things. It could be a church radio with monastic music, let's say, or so. But because that for me is, if I listen to most radio stations, I'm hearing all the fucking terrible news. I don't mind a few headlines, but it's like they're whinging about Boris Johnson this or Richie Sunak that, or Donald Trump this. It's like we might think it's necessary. It really isn't.
No,
you
we
can't.
Don't need that.
I love the serenity prayer. God grant me the ability to change the things I can, accept the things I can't, and know the difference. I can't fix the world.
Yeah.
But I can fix myself. I can put myself out there to help other people, and bit by bit we change our part of the world.
Yeah. What would you say then? That's all great stuff. What would you say in your career has been a moment where you did face a really big challenge? What was that challenge, and how did you overcome it?
Well, the biggest one was ringing my mate who became my best man, still one of my best friends, and saying we've gone bust. Right. And people avoid failure at all costs, as we said, but I'm sure you'll look back at your failure and think, Christ, if I didn't fail, I'd still be doing that, and that'd be a lot worse than where I am now. So it's hard to say it was a positive. But two things. He said to me, Mickey, let me tell you one thing. He said, failure, and I think it was Churchill who first said it, is not fatal. You can bounce back from this, and you can come back stronger. But he said the bit that'll hurt you most is when it all comes out, you'll count your friends on one hand. Because like rats deserting a sinking ship, people go boom, they just run away. They don't want to be associated with it. He said, but you know what? You'll only ever need a handful of friends. And I'm one of them. Wow. And when I say to my daughters, if you get one really good friend every decade of your life, you are blessed. Yeah. We live in a world where people think, I've got 1,000 friends on Facebook. I'll tell you what, send them all a message today and ask them to send you 50 quid because you're a bit tight. Then you'll know which ones of those 1,000 are your friends. Yeah, they'll all go, oh, sorry, I'm a bit short at the minute. It's like, are they really going to be there? Yeah. So he taught me in that one moment that, acknowledge the negativity, the feelings, the emotions, but don't let them be your future. Great. Realize that you're going to now find out who your friends really are. And that's a really important thing. I've got loads of acquaintances, but I've got a handful of friends, and they are amazing. Yeah. And I only need a handful of friends. And then if you want to change some things in your life, change some things in your life. If it didn't work, how can you make it work? Great. And that was really pivotal because I could have given up and just become a bum. People, there would have been people who said, oh, don't worry, Mickey, come and have a drink. It's all right. Have some drugs. You know what? It's all right. Having a friend there that was a hand up rather than a drag down, come and join us down here, made a world of difference.
So I suppose you'd say like environment's really important. People should be really cautious and protective of who they spend their time with. If there's people tuning into this now, and let's just say they're in a negative environment and they don't know how to get out of it, and maybe that could be their loved ones, it might be their friends, their family members, could be their husband or wife, which sometimes are the worst, or it could just be their work environment. They really want to break free, Mike, but they're just filled with a bit of fear now or anxiety, and they've got that negativity around them. What would be some of your positive inspiration and steps on what they need to do to break through and start getting some of those wins that you talk about?
I could probably do an hour on that question.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I know we haven't got an hour. So firstly, environment. It's a really important thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Jim Rohn talked about we're the average of the 5 people we spend most time with: average income, average attitude, average health, average lifespan, all those kind of things. Dead right. I've never found anyone who could evidence an argument against that. Okay. But people often can't see that or believe that. But what I'd say is, if you want to really get that message across, if a plant isn't growing, do we say to ourselves, it was obviously a shit seed or a shit bulb? No, we immediately think, I might need more sunlight, or I might need to give it more water, or I might need to put some plant food. We don't blame the bulb or the seed. We look at the environment in which it's in, and we do everything we can to change that environment or feed that environment more positively. So if we're not feeling like we're succeeding, don't beat ourselves up, or don't beat someone up who's not succeeding. Look at how to change their environment. Okay. So, and that is really important. And then the other way that I look at that as the way you evolve that question is, every person in your life, every process in your life, every team or group or geography of your life, whether geography of the office or the home, is one of only 2 things. And it's a bit black and white, but life is black and white sometimes. It's either an anchor or it's propeller. It's either propelling you forward to your future that is the best future for you, or it's anchoring you back. And sometimes you've got to say, is my partner anchoring me or propelling me? Is my job anchoring me or propelling me? And people are often doing loads of great things. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, our products are great, we've got good people, but we're not going forward. I say, well, don't look at them, they're all great propellers. Look at the things that are anchoring your business back. You've got a couple of people in there that are real parasites, that are real terrorists, that are really holding the business back. You've got outdated systems there. You're trying to run a good business, but your vans are beaten to shit, and you're in some dodgy backstreet kind of office or something like that. So anchors and propellers. Judge everything as an anchor or a propeller. Now, sometimes people can be anchors because you have not told them what you expect. Sometimes they can be anchors because you've employed them but not trained them, and you haven't given them the skills or support. And sometimes someone can be an anchor just because they're having a bad day. But if you can start that kind of dialogue where you can make a bit of fun with it, and if we started to have that language and you understood, we worked together, we had that language, I could say to you, you're being a real anchor today, mate. In the Cockney sense, because they know where the influence is going. Stop being such an anchor. How do we propel this? And I think businesses and relationships should be able to find that language that can safely challenge each other. And if that challenging doesn't lead to a change, you need to create the change.
Great.
Cut that anchor loose.
Great.
If you're not growing, you're dying.
Assess all the time, right?
Yeah,
Constantly be assessing, changing, pivoting, moving.
Well, and people
those improvements.
People
really
do
like
annual strategic review.
Yeah.
Joe, I know Joe. We work on daily.
Yeah, daily. Yeah,
daily. What did we achieve today? Did we get the numbers? Didn't we get the numbers? Who got the numbers? Who didn't get the numbers? Did they not get the numbers because they need training? All of these things. It's like, why the hell would you wait a year to put something right? If you were sailing and you hit a squall or you lost the wind, you would immediately either change direction or change your sails to harness that wind. If you said, I'm all a bit tired, let's have some lunch and then we'll change the wind, boom, someone overtakes you. So constant. It's not a date set thing to plan, to review, to strategize. It's a continuous evolution.
If you've got your business and you've got your customers and you've got your products, you've got to be looking at it daily, haven't you? And seeing what's going on.
I use the example, if we had a bowl of apples here, or you had a bowl of apples in your kitchen, and as you walked past this morning, you're a bit bleary-eyed and you're on your way to work, but you notice the one on top is mouldy. What would you do?
Throw it away.
Why?
Because it's mouldy and horrible.
Yeah, but
can't eat it.
Would you say, I need to throw that away later today? You're tired, you're on your way to work. Why wouldn't you leave it till you come home from work?
Because it just doesn't sit right there.
No, and it will rot the others.
It will rot, great.
So if we wait till later, tomorrow, next week, next month, how much poison is going to spread from that? Whether that's a bad person, a bad process, a bad system, a bad job, a bad environment, the minute you see a mouldy apple in a bowl, everyone just takes it out. They know it spreads. And yet suddenly they get to work and that guy's fucking late again for the third Monday in a row. He seems to go sick every third Monday. That's unusual to someone to go sick on a Monday. He's a lazy ass bastard who puts his weekends before the job. Cut him loose.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, no, look, you are cutthroat, but I can see that you're very firm but fair. You've got a hell of an energy about you. And even where you are now, I can see you just love this stuff. It's like it's ingrained into your DNA. What do you love most about what you do today? And where is Mike and the empire and the family going for the next 10 years?
That's a really good question. Listen, someone sent me a connection and wanted a free mentoring the other day. I didn't do free mentoring, I want them to value that mentoring. But she said, you've got 7777 followers. I don't know what that means. And she sent me a link, and I checked it afterwards. It's there on loads of links. It is, if you ask what the number 7,777 means, it's the angel number for you're exactly in the right place.
Wow.
And your purpose is set, kind of thing. It's like, and even if that's bollocks, you really think, it's funny that she should ask the question on that day, and and I was only that number of followers for an hour or so. It's like, I do feel like I'm exactly where I need to be. I think, you talk about being a round peg in a square hole, and people feel like that. I'd say if you feel like that, something isn't right in your life. But I love every day. I wake up feeling energized. It's like the morning of a holiday, and I hit that day. So I want to be doing more of the same. I love doing one-to-one because it can change people's lives. I do a bit of one-to-many because that might lead to one-to-one. But I really want to change people's lives. And the reason I'm a bit bare knuckle is, a lot of mentors want to cuddle and, I know you've been busy, I know you've been this. I want to be your toughest mentor so I can be your biggest cheerleader. Because if I cuddle you all the time and tell you that's okay, you ain't going to get anywhere. Now, don't get me wrong, mental health is a big issue. And if someone's, and they do, I've had someone who tried to kill himself last year, I've had people who are going through divorce, who are in a dark place. And I'll say, listen, I can help you with some of that as a behavioural profiler, and if you tell me what it is, we may be able to work through it. But if you're really serious and you're having dark thoughts, don't be fucking stupid. If your car wasn't working, you'd go to the garage. If the lights weren't working, you'd call an electrician. If you are feeling that wrong or out of place, go and get some help. But I will never tell them what they want to hear. I'll tell them what they need to hear, because I really is my biggest passion in life is seeing people become something amazing. And when you see that, it's like they're your kids. We're all proud of our kids, but to me, someone I mentor, I'm not interested in the money, but I charge enough for them to take it seriously. But I want to see them win. In terms of my family and the kids and that, my youngest is just finishing uni, and she's just got a great job offer. I won't say the agency, and she's not only is she going to become an account manager for a great agency to look after brands like Google and Apple and everything else, but she's been asked to be, as part of that role, to be the EA to the CEO, and they run 37 countries. And you think, shit, sometimes you put this in, other people see it. And that was from one little internship. The other one got the cognitive neuroscience masters, and she works in Nielsen Neuro, which is the kind of best department in Nielsen, which are a massive global firm. So I will always be there for them and give them the time and give them the support and give them the love. And I love spending time with them every week when I can. And we see most weeks, we'll see them one way or the other. But I know that if I died tomorrow, if we lost all the money and I gave them nothing else in life, they're good. Those girls are set for amazing things.
That's great.
And so I want to live a long, full life, but if I died tomorrow, I'd die happy. I'd die knowing I'm doing what I love, knowing that I have given my kids the ability to be amazing and the desire to want to be amazing and the tools that can help them when they hit challenges.
Great. What do you like to do in your spare time?
So in my spare time, I like spending time with mates. I set a challenge every year. So on the 9th of August this year, I'll climb Mount Kazbek in Georgia, which is about 5,500 meters. Lots of crevices that we have to go across ladder bridges and things like that. So still do a challenge each year that kind of makes me focus, and you have to break down a project. And I'd urge everyone to do a mountain, do a marathon, do a big challenge, because what it does is, and I first got it from doing Anthony Robbins' Mastery University when he made us do walking on coals, and then I did a 50-foot one in Hawaii. It should melt your feet. It's 4 times hotter than your oven, but like the bee doesn't know the bee shouldn't physically and scientifically be able to fly, you can build something, and you get intense. You build an aura around you that protects you from that heat. And after doing something like that, why the fuck would you walk on burning coals? Well, you don't have to, and you need to do it in a trained way. But when you do, and you know that against all science, you have walked on a massive heat and you survived, it puts a level of connection in your brain that says, I shouldn't be able to do that, but I did. So when someone says you can't do that, or that nobody's been able to achieve that, your brain says, well, you weren't able to walk on burning coals. You know, someone your height, your weight shouldn't be able to climb mountains or run marathons, but I did. And so, you know, for me, it's all connected, because I'll do the mountain, that'll make me feel good, that'll be a challenge. I'm 60 in November and I want to do the marathon for the 6th time next year to be able to run a marathon in my 60s and stuff like that. But that also gives me the analogies, the metaphors, the examples to take into my mentoring. So my life is not work and home or Mike and business. It's all connected, and that's why I think it feels right. There is no, I've got to put on a new face, I've got to put on a different personality, be different behaviour. I am living true to and absolutely congruent to everything I want to be.
Fantastic. If you could go back to your younger self, is there something that you would say to yourself? And what would that thing be?
Have we got time to share a quick story?
Yeah.
So
we're wrapping up now, so it's a good time to wrap up.
You reminded me as you said that. I've mentored Greg Wallace for many years. Master Chef, great guy. Really, talk about authentic. He's the same guy on and off screen kind of thing. But he did the Strictly Come Dancing. And he's a great mover. I've been out with him before. He's good, and so on. But that's live, and he never did live TV, and he had a little bit of wobble before. So he tells the story that he had a bit of an anxiety attack. So BBC, they got this woman in for him, and he said something like, I just feel like I'm a scared 15-year-old. And she said, everything we say points to a truth. Why 15? What was happening when you were 15? And a lot of people don't know this, but he was homeless at the time, you know, and he helping out on different markets to get a bit of cash, eating food like apples and that were good enough to eat but not good enough to sell. Anyway, he said, well, at 15 I was homeless and I was a bit scared and I didn't know where the next money or food or shelter. I was exposed in that sense, and I was scared. And she said, okay, what would you say now to your 15-year-old self? And so that's why when you ask that question. Excellent. And he said, I put my arm round him and say, it's going to be all right. Yeah, nice. I like it's going to be all right. And she said, and what would the 15-year-old say to you? And he said, I don't know. He said, I'd probably say, fuck, I'm going to be famous. and so if I went back, I was scared. My stepfather was a particularly violent man, and I got the brunt of that sometimes. And, you know, as a behavioural profile, I come to understand, he was a Richardson, I come to understand that violence was his go-to place if he got scared or didn't know. It doesn't mean I forgive him, but it means I understand. But I would go back and say something similar. You'll be okay. Yeah. Listen, this is setting you up. It feels painful. It feels scary. But everything you're going through is your foundation upon which you are going to be able to build amazing things.
Wow, fantastic. I think that is an incredible message to end the show on. Thank you so much for coming down. What an amazing podcast with so many golden nuggets. The audience is absolutely gonna love this.
Well, I'll happily come back again.
Yeah, great. And look, you know, Mike's got his book out, Failure Breeds Success. Go and grab it. I'm
a book. It's on Audible as well.
It's on Audible. I'm a proud owner. Where can people hook you up, Mike, if they want to touch base?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all socials. I do my own LinkedIn, so that's a good place to start. And I like connecting with people. I like hearing people's stories. They can ask me questions. I tend to respond to all those questions. And if ever you got an event, I'll come and speak at that. They can hook up there.
Let's do it. Well, make sure you go and hook Mike up. We'll put all of the handles and descriptions in all of the social media platforms. But there we have it. Another amazing guest on the Dealmaker podcast. If we can do it, you can do it too. Strategy, belief, and action. Get yourself educated, get around great people, and why not now listen to the next Dealmaker Podcast. And if you've got some great value, if you can like and share this podcast, we want to get the message out to as many people as we possibly can. And I would really appreciate your support in doing that. So if you can share, that would be incredible. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.